First contact. Dr. Samantha Chen squinted at her computer screen, coffee mug poised halfway to her lips. The radio telescope data scrolling before her eyes made no sense. She set down her mug and leaned closer, heart beginning to race. "This can't be right," she muttered, fingers flying across the keyboard as she double-checked the readings. But no matter how many times she ran the numbers, the conclusion remained the same. The faint signal she detected wasn't a glitch or some random space noise. It was a pattern, an impossibly complex, undeniably artificial pattern. Samantha sat back in her chair, mind reeling. After years of searching the stars for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, had she actually found it? She took a deep breath, forcing herself to think rationally. There had to be another explanation. She needed a second opinion. "Hey, Dr. Chen." The cheerful voice of her research assistant, Miguel, broke through her thoughts. "You look like you've seen a ghost. Everything okay?" Samantha gestured him over. "Miguel, I need you to look at this. Tell me I'm not going crazy." The young man's eyes widened as he scanned the data. "Holy crap," he breathed. Are we looking at an alien signal?" Samantha finished. "At least I think we are. But I need to be sure before we tell anyone. Can you run an independent analysis?" Miguel nodded eagerly. "On it, boss." The next few hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. As word spread through the research facility, more scientists gathered to verify the findings. By nightfall, there was no doubt. The signal was real. Samantha stood before her assembled team, exhausted but exhilarated. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart, "I believe we've just made first contact." The room erupted in cheers and applause. Samantha allowed herself a small smile, but her mind was already racing ahead. This discovery would change everything. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. But what did the aliens want? Were they friendly, hostile, in need of help? As if in answer to her unspoken questions, the signal changed. The complex pattern shifted, resolving itself into a series of mathematical equations. Samantha's eyes widened as she realized what she was seeing. "They're teaching us," she murmured, "giving us the building blocks of their language." Over the next few weeks, Samantha and her team worked around the clock to decipher the alien message. Government officials and military personnel swarmed the facility, but Samantha barely noticed the commotion. She was too focused on cracking the code. Finally, after countless sleepless nights and more coffee than any human should consume, they had a breakthrough. Samantha stood before a room full of the world's most powerful people, her hands shaking slightly as she prepared to reveal their findings. "The aliens call themselves the Lumina," she began. "They're a highly advanced species from a planet they call Helios, about 50 light-years from Earth, and they're asking for our help." A murmur ran through the crowd. The president leaned forward. "The help? With what?" Samantha took a deep breath. "Their star is dying. They've managed to extend its life through incredible feats of engineering, but they're running out of time. They need a new home." The room erupted in concerned chatter. Samantha waited for it to die down before continuing. "The Lumina have been searching for a compatible planet for centuries. Earth is the first world they've found that could support their biology. They're not asking to take our planet," she added quickly, seeing the alarm on many faces. "They're proposing a cooperation, a sharing of knowledge and resources that could benefit both our species." "And if we refuse?" a gruff military general asked. Samantha met his gaze steadily. "They've made it clear they won't force the issue. If we say no, they'll keep looking. But sir, with all due respect, I think that would be a mistake. The scientific and technological advancements we could gain from this alliance, it's beyond anything we could achieve on our own in centuries." The president nodded slowly. "What's the next step, Dr. Chen?" "They want to send a representative," Samantha replied. "A single Lumina to meet with us face to face and discuss the terms of a potential alliance." The room fell silent as the weight of the decision settled over everyone. Samantha held her breath, acutely aware that this moment would be remembered in history books for generations to come. Finally, the president spoke. "Very well. Tell them we agree to a meeting. But," he added, his expression grave, "we proceed with caution. The safety of our planet must come first." Samantha nodded, relief and excitement coursing through her. "Of course, Mr. President. I'll relay the message immediately." As she left the room to compose humanity's response, Samantha couldn't help but smile. Everything was about to change. Humanity was taking its first steps into a larger universe, full of wonders and challenges it could scarcely imagine. The Lumina's reply came swiftly. In just 3 days, their representative would arrive on Earth. Samantha threw herself into preparations, coordinating with government agencies and scientific institutions around the world. A secure facility was hastily constructed in a remote area, equipped with the most advanced monitoring and communication technology available. On the day of the arrival, Samantha stood with a small group of dignitaries and fellow scientists, her heart pounding as she watched the sky. Right on schedule, a streak of light appeared, growing larger as it descended. The Lumina ship was surprisingly small, no bigger than a car. It touched down with barely a sound, sleek and silvery in the morning sunlight. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hiss, a door opened in the side of the craft. A figure emerged, and Samantha gasped. The Lumina was breathtakingly beautiful, tall and graceful, with skin that shimmered like mother of pearl, catching the light in iridescent patterns. Its eyes were large and almond-shaped, a deep violet that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. But most striking of all was the soft glow that emanated from its body, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. The alien raised a hand in greeting, its long fingers splayed in what Samantha recognized as a gesture of peace. When it spoke, its voice was melodic, with an almost musical quality. "Greetings, people of Earth," the Lumina said, the words slightly accented but clear. "I am Zara, emissary of the Lumina. We come in peace and friendship, seeking your aid in our time of need." Samantha stepped forward, her voice steady despite her nervousness. "Welcome to Earth, Zara. I'm Dr. Samantha Chen. We're honored to meet you and eager to learn more about your people." Zara smiled, an expression that lit up their entire being. "The honor is ours, Dr. Chen. Your world is beautiful, and your species has shown great promise. We have much to discuss." As they led Zara into the facility for the official meetings, Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Humanity's greatest adventure was just starting, and she was thrilled to be at the forefront. Little did she know, the challenges and wonders that lay ahead would test the limits of human ingenuity, compassion, and courage in ways she could never have imagined. Cosmic convergence. As the days stretched into weeks, Earth buzzed with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. News of the Lumina's arrival had spread like wildfire, sparking debates, celebrations, and protests across the globe. But within the secure compound where Zara resided, a different kind of energy crackled in the air, one of discovery and mutual fascination. Dr. Samantha Chen found herself at the center of it all, serving as the primary liaison between humanity and their extraterrestrial visitor. Each day brought new revelations that left her mind reeling. "Your capacity for adaptation is remarkable," Zara commented one afternoon as they observed a group of scientists tinkering with a piece of Lumina technology. "In mere weeks, you've grasped concepts that took our ancestors millennia to develop." Samantha smiled, a hint of pride in her voice. "Humans have always been quick learners, especially when motivated, and the promise of saving your people and advancing our own is quite the motivation." Zara's iridescent skin pulsed with a warm glow, a sign Samantha had come to recognize as pleasure. "Indeed, though I must admit, your world presents its own challenges for us." As if on cue, Zara's form shimmered, the glow intensifying momentarily. Samantha frowned, concern etching her features. "Are you all right? That's been happening more frequently." The Lumina nodded, their large violet eyes blinking slowly. "Earth's atmosphere is invigorating. The abundance of oxygen and other trace elements interacts with our bioluminescent systems in unexpected ways. It's not harmful, merely intense. Samantha made a mental note to adjust the environmental controls in Zara's quarters. We'll find a way to make you more comfortable. Perhaps if we... Her words were cut short by a commotion near the lab entrance. A group of protesters had somehow breached the outer security perimeter, their angry shouts echoing through the halls. "Go home, alien. Earth for humans. We won't be your new slaves." Security personnel rushed to contain the situation, but not before one of the protesters locked eyes with Zara. The man's face contorted in a mixture of fear and disgust. "Freak," he spat, raising a makeshift weapon. Time seemed to slow. Samantha moved without thinking, placing herself between Zara and the attacker. She braced for impact, but it never came. Instead, she found herself enveloped in a cocoon of soft, pulsating light. Zara had extended their luminous field, creating a protective barrier around them both. The makeshift weapon clattered harmlessly to the floor, its wielder staring in awe at the shimmering shield. As quickly as it began, the commotion was over. Security subdued the protesters, leading them away. Samantha turned to Zara, her heart pounding. "Thank you," she breathed. "That was incredible." Zara's glow dimmed, their expressions somber. "I should be thanking you, Dr. Chen. You were willing to risk your safety for mine." They gestured toward the retreating protesters. "I fear not all of your people share your openness." Samantha sighed, running a hand through her hair. Change is never easy, especially on this scale. But for every person who reacts with fear, there are many more who see the potential in our alliance. She led Zara to a nearby window, gesturing to the sprawling research complex below. "Look there, humans and Lumina, working side by side. We're already making breakthroughs in clean energy, medicine, space travel. Given time, even the skeptics will see the benefits." Zara placed a slender hand on the glass, their skin shimmering with reflected sunlight. "I hope you're right, Samantha. The future of both our peoples may depend on it." As if to underscore the point, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red warning lights flashed, and researchers scrambled to their stations. Samantha's comm device chirped urgently. "Dr. Chen." It was Miguel, her assistant, his voice tight with worry. "You need to see this. It's the sun. Something's wrong." Samantha and Zara exchanged a glance before rushing to the main observatory. The scene that greeted them was one of barely controlled chaos. Scientists huddled around monitors, their faces pale with shock. On the main screen, a live feed from a solar observatory showed the impossible, massive dark fissures spreading across the sun's surface like cracks in glass. "It's happening here too," Zara whispered, their voice filled with a mixture of awe and dread. "Just like on Helios." Samantha turned to the Lumina, her mind racing. "Your star, you said it was dying. Is this how it began?" Zara nodded gravely. "The early stages, but it took centuries to progress this far on Helios. For it to happen so rapidly here, they trailed off, lost in thought." "Could it be connected to your arrival?" Samantha asked, hating the implication but needing to consider all possibilities. "Some kind of unforeseen interaction." "Impossible," Zara replied firmly. "Our ship's energy signature is far too weak to affect a star. No, this is something else entirely. Something unnatural." The word hung in the air, heavy with foreboding. Samantha squared her shoulders, pushing aside her fear. "Then we need answers, fast. The fate of both our worlds could be at stake." As if in response to her words, the main screen flickered. The image of the fractured sun was replaced by a face, distinctly Lumina, but unlike any they'd seen before. Its skin was dark, almost black, with veins of angry red pulsing beneath the surface. When it spoke, its voice was like gravel over glass. "Greetings, insignificant beings," the creature sneered. "Your pitiful alliance amuses us. Did you really think you could escape the void's embrace?" Zara stumbled back, their usual glow dimming to a faint flicker. No, they breathed. It can't be. Samantha steadied her friend, her eyes never leaving the screen. Zara, who is that? What's happening? The dark luminous laughter was like breaking ice. Who are we? We are the future, little ones. The glorious void that will consume all light, all life. Your stars are merely the beginning. With a final chilling smile, the creature disappeared, leaving only the image of Earth's wounded sun. Samantha turned to Zara, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. I think it's time you told us everything, my friend. What are we really up against? Zara met her gaze, violet eyes filled with a mixture of shame and determination. You're right. There's so much we didn't tell you, couldn't tell you. But now, they looked around at the stunned faces of the human scientists. Now the fate of both our species hangs in the balance, and our only hope lies in working together. As Zara began to speak, weaving a tale of cosmic forces beyond imagination, Samantha felt a shiver run down her spine. The true test of humanity's resilience and ingenuity was just beginning, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The coming days would push both humans and Lumina to their limits, forcing them to confront not only an external threat, but their own fears and prejudices. But in the crucible of crisis, the potential for greatness and the true meaning of being human would be revealed. Shadows of the void. The atmosphere in the command center was thick with tension as Zara concluded their explanation. Samantha's mind reeled, struggling to process the cosmic horror story she'd just heard. Let me get this straight, she said, pinching the bridge of her nose. There's an ancient, malevolent force called the Void that eats stars. Zara nodded solemnly. A crude simplification, but essentially correct. The Void is a cosmic parasite, consuming the energy of stars and leaving only darkness in its wake. We Lumina have been fighting it for millennia, barely managing to slow its advance. General Hawthorne, the gruff military liaison, scoffed. And you didn't think to mention this little detail when you first arrived. We feared you wouldn't believe us, Zara replied, their luminescence dimming with shame. Or worse, that you'd see us as a threat, bringing this danger to your doorstep. Samantha intervened before tensions could escalate further. What matters now is how we stop it. Zara, you said your people developed technology to combat the void. The luminous glow brightened slightly. Yes, but nothing powerful enough to destroy it completely. We've only managed to delay its progress, buying time to evacuate worlds in its path. Well, that's not good enough anymore, Samantha declared, a fire in her eyes. This is our home, and we're not abandoning it without a fight. A cheer went up from the assembled humans. Even General Hawthorne cracked a smile. Now that's the spirit, Dr. Chen. So, alien, what are we up against? Zara waved a hand, and a holographic display sprang to life in the center of the room. It showed a three-dimensional map of the solar system, with a menacing dark mass creeping towards the sun. The void exists in a state between dimensions, Zara explained. It manifests as a kind of living dark energy, invisible to most forms of detection, but its effects are all too real. The hologram zoomed in on the sun, showing the spreading fissures they'd observed earlier. It latches onto a star, draining its energy and causing instabilities in its core. Eventually, the star collapses, feeding the void and allowing it to grow stronger. How long do we have? Samantha asked, dreading the answer. Zara's expression was grim. Based on the rate of degradation, perhaps 2 weeks before irreversible damage occurs. After that, even if we drive back the void, your sun may be beyond saving. A stunned silence fell over the room. 2 weeks to save not just humanity, but their entire solar system. General Hawthorne was the first to recover. Right then, Dr. Chen, you and our glowstick friend here are our best shot at cracking this thing. Whatever you need, personnel, resources, you name it, you've got it. Samantha nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. We'll need to combine Lumina technology with our own. Zara, Can your ship's sensors detect the void? To a degree, yes, but they're not powerful enough to scan the entire sun. Then we'll build something bigger, Samantha declared. A network of satellites using your detection tech, tied into our most powerful supercomputers. We'll map this thing down to the last shadow. As the team sprang into action, Samantha pulled Zara aside. There's something you're not telling us, she said quietly. What was that being we saw on the screen? It looked luminous, but wrong somehow. Zara's glow pulsed erratically, a sign of distress Samantha had come to recognize. They are called the touched, lumina who have been corrupted by prolonged exposure to the void. They serve as its heralds, seeking out new worlds to consume. Are they sentient? Can we reason with them? Zara shook their heads sadly. The touched retain echoes of their former selves, but they are utterly enthralled to the void. They cannot be saved, only stopped. Samantha squeezed Zara's hand reassuringly. We'll find a way. Together. Over the next few days, the combined human-Lumina team worked around the clock. Satellite factories were retooled to incorporate alien sensor technology. Physicists and engineers from around the world collaborated on theories to counter the void's energy-draining effects. But as the deadline loomed closer, tensions began to rise. Reports of civil unrest trickled in from around the globe as news of the impending disaster leaked. Some blamed the Lumina, calling for their expulsion. Others saw the crisis as a sign of the apocalypse, abandoning their posts to prepare for the end. Samantha stood before a wall of monitors, each displaying a different aspect of their desperate plan. Her eyes were red-rimmed from lack of sleep, but her voice was steady as she addressed the team. I know we're all exhausted and scared, she began, but look at what we've accomplished in just a few days. Breakthroughs that should have taken years, all because we put aside our differences and worked together. She gestured to the main screen, where a complex web of energy patterns danced across the sun's surface. Our detection grid is online. We can see the void now, track its movements. That's the first step to fighting it. A young physicist raised her hand tentatively. But Dr. Chen, even if we can track it, how do we stop something that exists between dimensions? Our weapons would pass right through it. Before Samantha could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. The main screen flickered, and that terrible face appeared once more. The touched, its dark features twisted in a mockery of a smile. Clever little creatures, it hissed. You think your toys can save you. The void hungers, and it will not be denied. The image panned out, revealing a massive, shadowy form emerging from a tear in space. It was vaguely humanoid, but composed of roiling darkness that hurt the eyes to look upon directly. Behold, the touched proclaimed, the avatar of the void itself comes to claim your world. Tremble before its majesty. As the monstrous figure reached toward the sun, tendrils of darkness extending from its fingertips, Samantha felt a moment of pure, paralyzing terror. How could they possibly stand against something like this? But then she felt a warm hand on her shoulder. She turned to see Zara, their violet eyes filled with determination. We face this together, Samantha, they said softly. Human and Lumina, united against the dark. Something clicked in Samantha's mind. United against the dark, of course. She whirled to face the team, her voice ringing with newfound purpose. Light, she shouted. That's the key. The void feeds on darkness, on the absence of energy. So we fight it with the very thing it seeks to destroy. Excitement rippled through the room as scientists and engineers caught on to her train of thought. Ideas flew back and forth, building on each other with dizzying speed. We could use the luminous bioluminescence as a template, one researcher suggested. Amplify it somehow. What if we combined it with our fusion technology? Another chimed in. Create an artificial star to drive back the darkness. As the team rallied around this new direction, Samantha turned back to the screen. The void's avatar loomed larger, its tendrils now wrapping around the sun like a strangling vine. We see you, monster, she said quietly. And we're coming for you. The race against time entered its final, desperate phase. But now, for the first time since the crisis began, there was a glimmer of hope. Humanity and Lumina, bound together by shared danger and dawning friendship, prepared to make their stand against the encroaching darkness. Little did they know, the true test of their alliance, and of the human spirit itself, was yet to come. Luminous defiance. The next 72 hours were a blur of feverish activity. The combined human-Lumina team worked tirelessly, fueled by a potent mixture of caffeine, adrenaline, and sheer determination. Their audacious plan, dubbed Project Supernova, took shape with astonishing speed. At the heart of their efforts was a device unlike anything Earth had ever seen. It stood in the center of a hastily constructed facility, a towering obelisk of gleaming metal and pulsing light. Samantha gazed up at it, equal parts awe and trepidation coursing through her. "It's beautiful," she murmured. Zara nodded, their skin shimmering with barely contained excitement. "A perfect fusion of our technologies. Your mastery of nuclear fusion combined with our bioluminescent amplification matrices. It's nothing short of revolutionary." General Hawthorne approached, his usual gruff demeanor softened by a hint of wonder. "So this fancy light bulb is going to save the world, huh? How exactly does it work, in layman's terms?" Samantha took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "Essentially, it's an artificial star. When activated, it will generate a burst of energy so pure and intense that it should drive back the void, at least temporarily. Think of it as a cosmic floodlight." "And the catch?" Hawthorne pressed. "There's always a catch." Zara's glow dimmed slightly. "The energy required to power such a device is enormous. We'll only get one shot at this. If it fails, then it's lights out for all of us," Hawthorne finished grimly. "Literally." A tense silence fell over the group, broken by the sudden blaring of alarms. Miguel, Samantha's assistant, came running up, his face pale. "Dr. Chen, the void, it's accelerating. At this rate, we've got less than 6 hours before the sun reaches critical instability." Samantha's heart raced. They weren't ready. The device needed at least another day of testing and calibration, but time was a luxury they no longer had. "Prep for immediate launch," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. "We go with what we've got." As the team scrambled to make final preparations, Samantha pulled Zara aside. "There's something we need to discuss," she said quietly. "The power source. It's not enough, is it?" Zara's violet eyes met hers, filled with a mixture of sadness and resolve. "You've guessed correctly. To generate an energy burst of sufficient magnitude, it will require a living lumina to serve as a catalyst." Samantha's breath caught in her throat. "You mean—" "Yes," Zara nodded. "I must merge with the device. My life force, combined with your technology, should provide the spark needed to ignite our artificial star." "But that would kill you," Samantha protested, her voice cracking. Zara placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Perhaps. Or perhaps I will be transformed into something new. Either way, it is a small price to pay for the salvation of 2 worlds." Tears welled in Samantha's eyes. "There has to be another way. We can't just—" "Time grows short, my friend," Zara interrupted gently. "This is my choice. Honor it." Before Samantha could argue further, the facility shook violently. Outside, the sky had turned an ominous, roiling black. The void's avatar loomed larger than ever, its tendrils now visibly draining the sun's light. "It's now or never, people," General Hawthorne bellowed. "Get that thing in the air." The next few minutes passed in a chaotic blur. The device, officially designated the Lumina Human Omnidirectional Stellar Engine, or LHOS, was loaded onto a massive rocket. Samantha found herself in the control room, surrounded by banks of monitors and anxious faces. "Launch sequence initiated," a technician called out. "T-minus 60 seconds." Samantha's eyes locked with Zara's across the room. The Lumina gave a small, reassuring nod before stepping into a specially designed chamber attached to the L hose. "Zara, wait," Samantha called out, but it was too late. The chamber sealed shut, and Zara's form began to glow with increasing intensity. T-30 seconds. The rocket's engines roared to life, drowning out the frantic beating of Samantha's heart. T-10, 9, 8. She closed her eyes, silently praying to whatever cosmic forces might be listening. 3, 2, 1, ignition. The entire facility shook as the rocket lifted off, streaking into the darkened sky. On the main screen, they watched its progress, a tiny point of light against the encroaching void. Approaching optimal altitude, Miguel reported, his voice tense, preparing to initiate the L hose. Samantha took a deep breath. "Do it." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a flash that seared itself into the retinas of everyone watching, the L hose activated. It was as if a second sun had been born. Waves of pure, radiant energy burst forth, rippling across the solar system. The void's avatar recoiled, its shadowy form seeming to unravel at the edges. A cheer went up from the control room, but Samantha barely heard it. Her eyes were fixed on the readings from the L hose. Zara's life signs were fluctuating wildly, merging with the energy output of the device in ways their sensors could barely comprehend. "It's working," Miguel shouted. "The void is retreating. We've done it." But their celebration was premature. Even as the wave of light pushed back the darkness, cracks began to appear in the L hose's structure. No, Samantha muttered. "It's overloading. We didn't account for the full backlash of the void's energy." The main screen flickered, and to everyone's shock, Zara's face appeared, but it was changed ethereal, as if composed of pure light. "Samantha," they said, their voice echoing strangely. "The device cannot contain this power for long. I'm sorry, but there's only one way to ensure the void's defeat." Realization dawned on Samantha with horrible clarity. "Zara, don't." But it was too late. With a final, brilliant smile, Zara's form seemed to explode outward. The L hose shattered, releasing a supernova of light that dwarfed even its initial burst. In the control room, monitors overloaded and sparked. When Samantha's vision cleared, she looked to the main screen with trembling hands. Where the void's avatar had been, there was now only empty space. Of the L hose and Zara, there was no sign. Stunned silence fell over the room, broken only by the soft beeping of instruments. Gradually, reports began to trickle in from observatories around the world. The sun's stability was returning to normal. The void had been driven back. They had won, but at what cost? As the reality of their victory, and its price, sank in, Samantha felt a maelstrom of emotions threatening to overwhelm her. Grief for Zara's sacrifice warred with relief at Earth's salvation. Pride in what they'd accomplished mingled with uncertainty about what would come next. She was dimly aware of General Hawthorne speaking, organizing teams to assess the damage and begin recovery efforts. But Samantha's gaze remained fixed on the starfield displayed on the main screen. Somewhere out there, she knew, Zara's essence had become one with the cosmos. Their sacrifice had not only saved Earth, but had opened up new realms of scientific possibility. The breakthroughs they'd achieved in merging human and lunar technology were just the beginning. As if sensing her thoughts, Miguel approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Dr. Chen, what do we do now?" Samantha took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. There would be time to mourn later. For now, there was work to be done. "Now," she said, her voice steady, "we honor Zara's memory by building the future they died to protect. A future where humans and Lumina stand together against whatever the universe throws at us next." She turned to face the room, seeing the same mixture of grief and determination reflected in every face. "The void may return one day," Samantha continued, "but when it does, it will find us ready, united, illuminated, and unafraid of the dark." As the team rallied around her, Samantha allowed herself a small, bittersweet smile. The road ahead would be challenging, but for the first time in human history, they would not walk it alone. The stars beckoned, and humanity, changed, humbled, but unbroken, prepared to answer their call. Cosmic Renaissance. 5 years after the Void Crisis, Earth had transformed in ways few could have imagined. The union of human ingenuity and lunar wisdom had ushered in an era of unprecedented technological and social advancement. Cities gleamed with clean energy, powered by miniaturized versions of the LHO's technology. Diseases once thought incurable fell to the combined might of terrestrial medicine and alien bioengineering. But perhaps the most striking change was in the night sky. A glittering network of satellites, each pulsing with lumina-inspired bioluminescence, formed a protective web around the planet. They served as an early warning system against any resurgence of the void, while also facilitating instantaneous global communication. Dr. Samantha Chen stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, Earth's first permanent lunar base. Her dark hair, now streaked with silver, floated gently in the low gravity as she gazed at the blue marble of her home world. "Quite a view, isn't it?" a familiar gruff voice said behind her. Samantha turned, smiling at the sight of retired General Hawthorne. "I never get tired of it," she agreed, "though I bet it can't compare to what you've seen out there." Hawthorne chuckled, his weathered face creasing with laugh lines. "Mars is impressive, sure, but there's no place like home." He joined her at the window, his expression growing serious. "Any word from our deep space probes?" Samantha shook her head. "Nothing conclusive. We've detected trace energy signatures that might be void activity in distant star systems, but nothing that poses an immediate threat." "Good," Hawthorne nodded. "Gives us more time to prepare." He glanced at his watch. "Speaking of which, isn't your big unveiling scheduled to start soon?" Samantha's eyes widened. "Oh, shoot. I got so caught up in the view, I almost forgot. Thanks for the reminder." As they hurried through the station's gleaming corridors, Samantha marveled at how far they'd come. Harmony Station was a true collaboration, with humans and Lumina working side by side. The distinctive glow of Lumina skin was now a common sight, as more of their kind had journeyed to Earth in the wake of the crisis. They entered a large auditorium, packed with scientists, diplomats, and media representatives from both species. A hush fell over the crowd as Samantha took the stage, her heart pounding with a mixture of nervousness and excitement. "Ladies, gentlemen, and esteemed Lumina," she began, her voice steady. 5 years ago, our worlds faced annihilation. We stood on the brink of cosmic oblivion, saved only by the heroic sacrifice of one who gave everything to light our way forward. A holographic image of Zara appeared behind her, drawing murmurs of appreciation from the audience. "Today, we honor that sacrifice by taking the next great leap in our shared journey," Samantha continued. "For too long, we've been reactive, waiting for threats to find us. No more. Today, we go on the offensive against the darkness." She gestured, and a new hologram sprang to life. A massive, sleek starship unlike anything ever seen before. "I present to you the CSS Luminous Horizon," Samantha announced proudly. "The first of our cosmic Sentinel-class vessels. Powered by an advanced LHO's drive and equipped with weaponized light-based technology, it's capable of faster-than-light travel and designed specifically to detect and combat void incursions." The audience erupted in applause and excited chatter. Samantha waited for it to die down before delivering the kicker. "But the Luminous Horizon is more than just a warship. It's also a mobile research station and diplomatic hub. Its mission is not merely to defend, but to explore, to learn, and to forge new alliances across the stars." She paused, her gaze sweeping the room. "And I'm honored to announce that I've been selected to lead this historic mission as the ship's captain." The revelation was met with a standing ovation. As Samantha fielded questions from the crowd, her mind drifted to the challenges that lay ahead. The void was still out there, a looming threat in the cosmic dark, but they were no longer helpless in the face of it. Hours later, After the excitement of the unveiling had died down, Samantha found herself back on the observation deck. The Earth hung before her, beautiful and fragile. Soon she would be leaving it behind, venturing into the unknown. A soft glow reflected in the window caught her attention. She turned to find a young lumina approaching, its skin pulsing with gentle light. "Captain Chen," the lumina said, bowing slightly. "I am Lyra, assigned to your xenobiology team. I hope I'm not interrupting." Samantha smiled warmly. "Not at all, Lyra. I was just saying a quiet goodbye to home." Lyra moved to stand beside her, its violet eyes filled with wonder as it gazed at Earth. "It's strange," the young alien mused. "My people have wandered the stars for generations, yet looking at your world, I feel a sense of belonging I've never known before." "Earth has that effect on people," Samantha chuckled. Then, more seriously, "I hope we can create that feeling for others out there. A home among the stars for all sentient beings." Lyra's glow brightened with enthusiasm. "A noble goal, Captain, and one I'm honored to be a part of." As they stood there, human and lumina united in common purpose, Samantha felt a familiar presence. It was just for a moment, a fleeting sensation of warmth and light, but she could have sworn she heard Zara's voice, whispering from across the cosmic void. "Go forth, my friends. Illuminate the darkness." Samantha squared her shoulders, a newfound determination filling her. The luminous horizon awaited, and with it, humanity's greatest adventure yet. Whatever challenges lay ahead, be they void incursions, first contacts with new species, or the vast unknowns of deep space, they would face them together, as cosmic allies united against the dark. As she and Lyra left the observation deck, walking side by side towards their shared future, Samantha allowed herself a small, excited smile. The stars were calling, and this time, Earth was ready to answer. The end of one chapter, but the beginning of a far greater story, one that would be written across the canvas of the cosmos itself.